Welcome to G-Ball Vision. Today I have a list of some awesome EDC knives that fall in all kinds of different price points and different styles. While we're diving in, let us know down in the comments what your EDC is for today. And I will have all of these knives you see in the video linked down below in the description. We're going to kick the video off with a knife that comes in right around $28, $29. And that is the Ganzo G768. This comes in a couple different variations, but you're going to be looking at D2 steel and a very well done D2 steel from Ganzo. You have a coated drop point blade there with a nice little swedge rolling to the tip. You have a cutout and thumb studs for deployment. Pretty nice sharpening choil, and we have textured G10 handles, and we are looking at a crossbar lock. Very sturdy, dependable lock, but it's also going to be a very fun and fidgety lock if that's something you're interested in, but nonetheless a very dependable and strong lock, especially for daily cutting tasks. We do have a deep carry clip there that is recessed. The screws are not, but there is plenty of room in there, and it is going to be reversible, so this is a completely ambidextrous knife coming in a good steel, good handle material, completely ambidextrous for under $30. It's a good size, and you have a G10 backspacer there with steel liners, ball bearings around the pivot there. Very, very good job from Ganzo. Next up, this knife comes in right around $40 right now, and keep in mind these prices could vary slightly, but for the most part I think they stay pretty consistent. This is the CJRB Large Pyrite Alt here, and so far this is one of my favorite pyrites. We are looking at the RPM 9 steel. I think they will roll it out in their new SF2 steel as well at some point. We have a nice Warncliffe or sheep's foot style of blade, dual thumb studs for the deployment, and you have a nice large choil there so you can choke up behind that edge and choke up on that tip if you have some detail work. Coming in FRN, you do have that secondary crossbar lock for your button there, but as a righty, not something I pay attention to. We do have a fairly thin blade stock, and it does come down pretty thin, so it slices pretty well, and it's a good size. More knives need to come out in 2025 in this size range, and we are looking at a deep carry steel clip that is going to be reversible along with CJRB's button plunge lock action. This is a very solid knife around the $40 price point. And this one right here will be a little tangent. I want to give a shout out to all the people in the US, Germany, Canada, India, France, the UK, Poland, Ukraine, Spain, Russia, the Netherlands, Italy, Turkey, Australia, and the list goes on and on of people who watch the channel and enjoy the videos and the shorts. This one, I wanted to bring out some different knives, and this one should be fitting for almost everyone in all of those places. I think it fits the standard for most places. This is the Kaiser Yorkie, and it's going to be a double detent style of knife. The only miss from Kaiser is I wish they would have put another pull on the other side, because it would have been perfect for everyone to be able to reverse flick this out, because I can thumb flick it out. It's a little awkward, but you can do it, but it would be perfect for a low reverse flick. And I think Ray Laconico, Kaiser, they need to reevaluate that, but it is a great little pocket knife. You have a nice drop point blade coming in the Nitro V satin finish, and it is pretty fidgety once you kind of figure it out, if I quit lollygagging with it. But you can get it to pop right closed, and if you could reverse flick the knife back open, man, would that be very fidgety. And we're looking at these really nice contoured aluminum handles, and then we do have a deep carry clip there that is going to be right hand carry only. And this knife comes in right around 70 bucks for the materials, and that price, it's not too shabby. You're going to get a solid build quality from Kaiser. You'll have to let me know, does this knife fit into your jurisdiction where you live, no matter where it is? Because I would love to hear. Next up, we got the Petrified Fish PFE14 here. And this knife comes in right around the $80 price point in this variation here. And I believe there are a couple of different variations. The knife is coming in 154 cm. You have that drop point style blade, and there's a flat that runs across the top of the blade here, and then it kind of dies off. It gives it a cool look, and it kind of swells upward, but you still can use that tip fairly easily. It's not too high in relation to that pivot, but still very useful. You have a nice sharpening choil there, great access to your liner, and it does have a chamfer. You are looking at a rear flipper for your deployment, and it's done very well. Very easy to flip this thing open. They put a couple of wider jimps there, and they work pretty good. The detent is tuned very nicely to flick this thing out, and then the handle swells as it gets to the butt end, which that is going to fill the hand out nicely and give you a lot more comfort and control up here in the middle of the knife. I like this design quite a bit. They do have a deep carry right hand only clip that is recessed. Would have loved to have seen a left hand carry option with a filler tab here. It is set up to do it, and I wish they would have. That would have been a very nice touch. We have a matching G-Mascus backspacer with our steel liners. Not too shabby from Petrified Fish. At 80 bucks, I think it is a pretty solid knife. Next up, we have, it's no stranger, the Cold Steel Code 4, but it might be a stranger to some. This knife has to get put out there every once in a while. This knife comes in right around the $80 price point, depending on the blade shape and when you decide to pick it up. But right now, a couple of these blade shapes are coming in right around 80 bucks, and you're going to get an amazing knife from Cold Steel. Made in Taiwan, S35 VN steel, fantastic steel at 80 bucks. And then to kind of top the knife off, you have aluminum handles, and you have the triad lock here, which is considerably one of the most, if not the most dependable folding knife lock that there is. But the Code 4 here, you have several different blade shapes you can choose from. Some people I've heard complain about the scales being slippery. I've never really found that with this knife or any aluminum knives, but everyone will be different. But this is a little bit different of a Cold Steel than we typically see in its thickness, its pocket clip, the blade itself. It's a little bit lighter duty from Cold Steel, but you're still getting some awesome materials with the S35 and the aluminum, and then you're getting that really nice triad lock, the most dependable lock, or one of the most dependable locks on the market. And then you have a pretty decent pocket clip here, and it does come with the option to put this for left-hand carry, making this an ambidextrous knife as well. So really hitting all the spots Cold Steel did with this knife here. And we even have a lanyard spot, and not going to be the most fidgety knife, but as these break in, they get very smooth and can be pretty fidgety if you want it to be. But the Code 4 nonetheless is a fantastic cutting tool, especially at $80. Now, I think this knife got severely overlooked when it dropped. It came out at the end of 2024. And that is the Kaiser Shot here. It came out right at the end of 2024 or right at the beginning of 2025, one of the two. But it's a really nice gentleman's knife. Comes in 154 cm steel. I think there's two different versions of this, and this is the copper. I believe they have a brass version as well. But I think this is a great looking knife. If you just need kind of a light duty backup type cutter, kind of a very futuristic looking gentleman's knife. Kind of a calm aesthetic in my opinion. We are looking at a deep carry right hand only clip with that copper contoured scales. Looks very nice with the black hardware and blade. Sharpening choil isn't great, but it's not horribly bad either. And then you have that nice pokey, straight, almost straight back blade. That thing is made to be a piercer and a slicer. You have great access to that liner there, and it is going to be pretty fidgety because you have dual thumb studs and a well done front flipper also that you can do all the front flipper things your little heart desires. Just a very clean knife that I think got overlooked kind of at the end of the year, beginning of the year here. The Kaiser Shot, fantastic knife. If you like larger knives, you should be pretty much enjoying this one because I pulled out quite a few larger knives. And here with the O Knife Heron, if you want something a little bit more full size, a little bit crazy, the O Knife Heron here will fit the bill for that. And these come in right around $65. And you're going to be getting a chunk of D2 steel here. You have this really tall Wharncliffe blade that has a PVD coating. You have all kinds of stuff going on here with this dull grind, running into a flat that runs into a fuller and cutout and then flattens back off. Very interesting blade shape, and you can use the fuller and cutout for deployment along with the rear flipper there. Very good action. Kaiser, I believe, is still OEMing these, so you're getting a Kaiser build here. Again, we are looking at a liner lock with great access, and then we have textured G10 handles. I haven't really ever seen this knife get a whole lot of play, and I always thought, if you like a larger knife, I've always thought this was a great knife right here. The sharpening choil is not the best. That would be my, main complaint, and it's not left-hand friendly as well. You have a deep carry right-hand only clip that is kind of partially recessed there. I think if this had a little bit better sharpening choil and the option for lefty, this would be a home run if you want something a little bit different in regards to the aesthetic of the knife, because it's a cool looking folder, especially at $65. Not too bad. Next up, we got to give some love to this knife here because they have kind of not revamped it, but they've brought it back around. This is called the Sacra Pro, and this is coming from Real Steel. We're looking at a very good size for an EDC knife. We have a drop point blade with a fuller running into that top swedge, coming in K110. We have a stonewash finish, but they do have a couple different variations. One that is coated, and if you might be noticing something about the knife right about now, the studs on the tips there are going to be glow in the dark. So if you hit those with, certain types of light, those will glow in the dark pretty heavily, I should say. And we are looking at a crossbar lock, which Real Steel does really, really well. Nicely centered right out of the box, nice and sharp out of the box. We do have a integral steel frame here, and that is going to make the knife very comfortable and rigid in hand because it is durable because of that single steel liner there, that integral steel liner. And it just makes it very comfortable as well because you don't have that large gap here on the spine of the knife. We have a deep carry, minimal steel rollover clip there, and it will be reversible for our left-handed brothers and sisters out there. Glad to see they have revamped that. I'd love to see them put this out in a better steel. You'll have to let me know, what was your favorite knife from today's video? I love hearing from you guys down in the comments. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up button. Always appreciate that, everyone. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe. I release videos just like this every single day, and I'd love to have you here. Have an awesome day, and I will catch you on the next one.